Today, I'm very happy to be able to chat with Mark Ross Smith, CEO and co-founder of Loyalty Data Co., the parent brand of StatusMatch.com. And our topic is loyalty programs and how they can work for you. Hey there, amazing viewers. If you enjoy our episodes, don't just hover around. Dive deeper. Hit that subscribe button like it's the key to a treasure chest of vacation rental knowledge. And ring that bell like you're summoning fun directly to your screen. Subscribe, ring, and let's keep your adventure rolling. As I had mentioned, Mark is the CEO and co-founder of Loyalty Data Co., and they are the parent brand of StatusMatch.com. He is also the editor of Travel Data Daily and was the head of loyalty at Malaysia Airlines. If you've ever wondered if loyalty programs work, how they work, and how to start one, you are in the right place. All that being said, let's jump into this. Our interview today at the Hospitality Property School is going to be with Mark Ross Smith, CEO and co-founder of Loyalty Data Co., the parent brand of StatusMatch.com. He is the editor of Travel Data Daily. He was head of loyalty at Malaysia Airlines, and Mark has written numerous articles about loyalty programs, specifically about airline loyalty programs. Now, some of you might be wondering how this topic might apply to the hotel industry. If you currently do not have or are not planning to introduce a loyalty program at your property, you are leaving money on the table, and Mark's history with loyalty with the airline industry can be related to the hospitality property industry. All that being said, Mark, you ready to jump into this?
I'm here and ready, Jerry. Yep.
Yeah, good. Now, years ago, I was flying consistently as a tour operator and manager, and I had a wallet full of airline loyalty cards, but I never really took advantage of the perks available. Would you mind explaining what a loyalty program is?
Sure. Let's dive into it. I think if you ask some airline or hotel CEOs what the answer to this is, they'll say something like this. Oh, that loyalty thing, it's not really our core business. We give out some gold cards and cost us a bunch of money because we've got to pay for free breakfasts and lounge access and upgrades and this and this and this and this and this and this. The truth is today, especially in airline, loyalty programs run their own P&L. And a lot of time they're separate companies that in some cases generate billions in profit independently of the airline. We saw in 2020, 2021, a lot of the financials of some of these airlines come out in the loyalty program, where to the point where the loyalty program was worth more than the entire airline itself. So, is it really an airline these days? Is it really a hotel brand these days? Or is it a marketing company that has this operational aspect, as operational division? But is it a marketing company that also flies planes? Is it a hotel? Is it a marketing brand that has a bunch of rooms that they try and sell as well? It's like a side business, right? Because the real business, the real value is in this loyalty thing. And since the value of these programs sort of came to light, what is a loyalty program? What is the role of a loyalty program? I think has changed in the past couple of years to where you and me think of it as points and upgrades and all this kind of fun stuff. There's a bit of magic to it, a bit of mystery. And I think that's why people like to engage with these loyalty programs. But, it's like a swan on the lake. It looks so elegant on the surface, but underneath going crazy, all this stuff. And there's a real business behind it. And if you can nail it, if you can get it right, it can be extremely profitable for a hotel or an airline brand.
Whoa, okay. Now, the last couple of years have been challenging for the airline industry. Is there still a demand for a loyalty program?
I think you're like this. I think not just yes. I think it's thriving, and I'll explain why. We obviously just talked about the value of airline loyalty programs, how it can be worth more than the airline. One example is American Airlines. That's still the case. It's actually even more today. It's actually improved since then in favor of running a loyalty business and getting that loyalty business right. Spirit Airlines just at the end of 22 So this is a month or two ago, they raised $500 million at a $4.2 billion valuation. This is just for the loyalty business, not for the airline,
Okay.
right? At the same time, the airline itself was worth $2.3 billion on the market, right?
Oh.
So what that means is the airline's worth negative $2 billion because the loyalty program's worth so much, right? And actually, I think it was last week, Delta Airlines announced that their loyalty card spend. So this is people using the credit card, earning miles, and basically the loyalty program generates money when they sell miles to banks, mostly. Yeah, that revenue was up 40% on the same quarter in 2019. So what that suggests to me is loyalty is more interesting for more people today than it ever has been. I think they're coming back into travel in the last year, and it's expensive to travel a lot of places right now. And so people are looking for that extra benefit, that extra perk, that extra something they can get back because they're now paying a lot more to do what they used to do a lot less. And so they're kind of looking for that payback. And so they join the loyalty program. Like, I may as well earn some points, right? And what that's done is it's sort of started to drive all the metrics within the loyalty system, because the loyalty programs are already set up for this. They've got their CRM, their marketing emails, all this kind of stuff to drive that incremental booking, that room night, all this kind of stuff, right? And so there's this influx of people into this loyalty program, and it's just started churning that wheel a bit more. And it was already set up really well pre-pandemic, and we're starting to see a lot of that sort of come out now, where loyalty programs are starting to make a ton of money. They're driving new bookings. They're driving new incremental business that the airline or hotel may not have ever had without having that loyalty program there, which to me suggests that loyalty is not just doing its job. It's succeeding. It's doing very well.
Transform your property into a lucrative vacation rental with our Vacation Ventures, Turning Property into Profitable Rentals course. The awesome news is that it has been revitalized and relaunched. Ideal for both newcomers and seasoned owners, this 10-module course offers 59 lessons designed to elevate your rental business. Dive into expert insights with engaging videos, convenient MP3s, and comprehensive PDFs covering everything from location analysis to crisis management. Stand out in the vacation rental market by mastering key strategies and best practices. Whether you're starting out or aiming to enhance your property's appeal, join us to unlock the full potential of your investment. Click the link now to see how you'll benefit. Don't miss out on this game-changing opportunity to elevate your vacation rental business. Okay. Now, I know your expertise is with airline loyalty programs. I know that the larger brands, hotel chains, do well with the loyalty programs. Now, you might not know the answer to this, but I'm going to throw it out to you anyways. Do you think smaller properties could benefit from any type of loyalty program?
So, I mean, I've stayed at a bunch of small properties, boutique, independently owned, and I mean, they're fantastic. Some of these, they're so focused on this customer experience because that's what they've got, right? They don't have this big chain behind them saying, "Go stay here and get free breakfast and point." They just don't have that. You know, what they've got is your cousin that stayed there 2 years ago and said, "Hey, you should check this place out. It's on the beach. It's in Miami. It's really nice. There's this lady, June, there. And when you go there, she did it." And there's a story.
Yeah.
Right? There's always a story. I think this is a competitive edge that especially some small brand independent got this going for them, right? And if you layered a loyalty program on top of that, would that take away from some of that? I think if the answer is if it could add to what they're doing already, I think it makes a lot of sense to have some kind of loyalty proposition. What that loyalty thing looks like, I think may be a little different. It may not be stay here, earn 1,000 points, and you can use that to. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it looks and feels a little different. I think, I mean, a good example is probably the GHA Discovery loyalty program. You know, they've got what, 20, 30, something like that, brands on there. All these brands are sizable in their own market, but not big enough to really do their own fully fledged thing, especially globally. I think for some brands, it makes sense to come together and aggregate and sort of leverage off each other's brand. Because, not everyone travels to the same destination all the time. You got people flying all around the world doing their thing. They got some stays in Hong Kong and then Singapore and then Germany and then Rio. And it things like loyalty status, which is obviously what our company helps facilitate, is very powerful. It drives a lot of bookings to the point where, if you've got a gold card in your wallet, right, you're more likely to book a hotel or fly with that airline that you've got a gold card with than one you don't. So it may not be where you book, but it's going to be the first place you check. I'll just check the price of this one. I'll see what it is because I get X there, right? So I think if a smaller hotel brand, for example, is part of this sort of bigger ecosystem, there's definitely benefits there where it rides on these perhaps millions of travelers that have this gold card from being part of that brand, and you sort of tap into that customer base already. So in some ways, I'm not sure, it could be cheaper to do that than to spend more money with OTAs, for example, on commissions there. So I think it depends on the brand, but I think ultimately, as long as it builds on the customer experience and adds new things, because it's all about the guests, really.
Okay, so you think programs can help a property with its branding?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, if I owned a smaller independent property, maybe 100 rooms or something, would it be expensive for me to start up a loyalty program? Is there a lot of technology involved?
I mean, not really. I think hotels, it's all about guest experience, right? So just for fun, let's put that in the center of what we do here, because it should be, to be fair. There's 100 vendors out there that'll sell your loyalty platform, right? There's no shortage of people taking money for this kind of thing out there. And more or less, they all do the same thing. They count the nights, they can manage databases, the GDPR compliance, all this kind of stuff that you just need, right? It's more of a hygiene factor, right? You sort of pick one, get that out of the way. The real magic is what you want the loyalty program to do, right? You want to start there, because once you get that right, it's pretty easy to figure out the technology piece, right? So, I'd probably, if I was starting a new hotel loyalty program today, I'd probably ignore the hype on personalization and blockchain and AI and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, right.
Because that's not, I mean, guests don't really care. If there's something in the background that does that's somewhat more efficient, great. But a guest just doesn't care. They just want a super easy check-in experience. They want to go to the room. They want to see wow, that's kind of cool. I got a free bottle of wine. I like this place now. They want that feel-good moment. They want to then, oh, my friend, I've got to meet them for coffee down the road in 10 minutes. Go there. And they're excited to be there, excited to do something. They're there doing their thing, whatever their thing is. Is it meeting their friend? Is it for a business thing the next day? Whatever it is, they don't really care what is sort of the engine behind all that, as long as it just works really well, right? So that's probably where I wouldn't start with technology. I would start with what you're trying to achieve, right?
Makes total sense.
Generally, the loyalty program, what you're trying to achieve is, trying to make more money, right? Try to get the person to come back and stay more or spend more, or maybe it's a revenue protection thing where you get a bunch of people that are staying property and they're staying less and less, and so you want to try and get them back. I'd start with the sort of end goal in mind, and whatever that is, and work backwards, because the technology piece, at least in my view, is probably it's important. Don't get me, it's important, but it's sort of the third, fourth, fifth thing that you're going to look at before you do anything else.
So it's not something that I should stress over right away. I should actually think it through before I jump into it.
Yeah, it's not like you're running a hotel brand. You got a loyalty program, and it's not like the latest iPhone that comes out and you need to get the latest one. I need to go get it because this new system has some amazing blockchain that integrates with this and does this and does. I mean, if that really aligns with the strategy that you've got and what you're trying to build as a brand, great. But I wouldn't go out there. I mean, my wife is guilty of this, oh, I need the 60 megapixel camera on the new phone. And that's the reason to go out and spend $2,000 on a new phone, right? So for a hotel brand, I wouldn't be doing that, because it's also, as we know, some of its technology is not cheap, and you got time, integration, staff resources, training, if there's something, all this kind of extra added cost. So, I think ultimately, if it makes sense to do it financially, you do it, but you wouldn't lead with it. You wouldn't lead with the technology piece. You would lead with the guest experience piece, which I think every probably hotelier in the world would agree with.
Oh, that's good. That kind of eases things a bit. Have you found a common thread for companies that are running successful loyalty programs? Now, that might be a little bit of a strange question, but is there some type of consistency you've noticed?
I think it's designed for the audience and it's intended for, right? Touched on this a bit today, but who really is the intended audience? Was it John, the 40-year-old business traveler that stays 2 nights and he does that once a month, right? Is it Mary, who her corporate booking travel agent does all her bookings? She's got no choice. She has to stay with the brand because there's some larger contract or deal in place, right? Is it the family of four that's coming through and stays there for 2 weeks once a year because you're in a boutique location, everyone wants to stay there, kind of thing? Like, who really is the core customer, right? And I think when you build some loyalty proposition around trying to maximize the revenue benefit for those people and the brand, or trying to attract more of those types of people, right? So your perfect customer for a hotel, airlines especially, your perfect customer is not when the CEO of the airline's out there, and his or her, the wife is out there doing yoga, and her friend says, "Oh, your loyalty program should do this and this," right? That is probably not the type of customer that you want. Great customer, it's probably not the core customer. It's probably not where all the money is, right? So I think this is where you sort of get into the data side of it and look at who is your best customer, who is spending the most, how can you get more of those, right? How can you get more Johns that are business travelers that not price sensitive, they're booking direct, they're booking last minute, whatever it is, how can you get more of those and build something around that? I think brands that get it right have done that. They've figured out who their customer is and just laser focused on that. And what that could mean is you are ignoring 80% of people that stay with your brand or fly with your airline, right? Because it's the whole 80-20 thing, right? You're going to generate a lot of revenue from a small amount. Like in the airline industry, people with like a silver gold status with the airline, they're generally in the top 5% of the loyalty customers of the airline, but they generate about 30% of ticket sales for the airline, right? So for a bunch of airlines, you could almost ignore everyone else and just focus purely on people that have like a silver, gold, platinum type status, just because they're just worth so much. I mean? Focus on that, and the ability to sort of get more revenue or do more with those people is a lot higher than someone that flies once a year, right? So I think it's just about your question, what's the common theme? It's just brands that do it right. And so sort of in hotels, think like your Hilton, your Marriott's of the world, and they've all got 50 brands each under that, right? And each of those brands has their own thing going on, but there's a common loyalty proposition across that. But the reason that works is because you get to choose your own adventure, right? So you earn your points at one of their brands, and then I'm making this up, but like IHG, you earn it at your more reasonable cost Holiday Inn stays, and then you try and redeem it Intercontinental, right? So you can sort of arbitrage your points, kind of thing like that, and that makes sense for a lot of people. So you just, I think it's just all about understanding your customer, and that sort of comes down to the data. And yeah,
so basically that's common sense, you would hope, for most people, most businesses.
I think so. Yeah.
You would hope so. The person looking to set up a loyalty program, do you think they have to have the proper mindset? Now, you alluded to, or you talked about finding your right customer, but do you think there might be anything else involved in the mindset before jumping into something like this?
So I mean, gosh, you follow me on LinkedIn, you like rave on that a bit too much. I think people running loyalty is a bit of a special area in travel, and you kind of either get it or you don't. And And I'll give you an example in airline. The the really interesting airline loyalty programs are run by people who are frequent flyers themselves, right? So they might be airline people, like they might have had their career, but they have gone out and earned elite status. They've earned the gold status on merit themselves on their own time with their own money, right? They're a real customer of their own product. And, you know, if you're kind of setting up something from scratch today, I'd be looking for people that have been there and done that kind of thing. They've been a customer. They felt the pain, right? They felt the pain of, you know, trying to fly back home on a Friday night and they've got a middle seat in row 87 on a 12-hour flight in the back of the plane, right? They're hating life at that point, but they do it because they're trying to get home to their family because they haven't seen their kids in 3 weeks. It's that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, been there, done that.
Exactly. You're qualified.
Yeah.
So, you know, I talk about how I think at some point airlines and hotels are, you know, taking away staff benefits might be a good thing for certain levels of the organization, because if you've got C-levels traveling around on basically free tickets everywhere, they're never really a customer. You know what I mean? They're checking in a different place at the airport. They're not earning points. They don't need to earn the points and miles because they get basically free flights anyway, or free stays if it's a hotel, cheap stays, I would say. They've got no incentive to ever save up points or to even think about a suite or pay for business or first class, because at the end it's cheap or free, right? So I think there's a lot of value in, and this is not just surveying people, you know, survey best customers and say, what should we do? I don't think it's that. I think it's at the heart of building a loyalty proposition from scratch, especially in travel. You need people around it that have been there and done that. They've got the scars, you know, from being in that middle row and screaming babies and no lounge access, and the in-flight entertainment's down, the Wi-Fi doesn't work, like every possible thing's gone wrong. I think if you've gone through that, you've earned your stripes, and you're probably a good candidate to think about how to design a loyalty program, because you're just going to start designing it in a way that solves not only your problem, but then the same thing that millions of other travelers would want as well, or don't want.
It's interesting. I've talked to hotel owners who have never spent a night in their own hotel. And that's exactly the same thing. They have no idea what their guests are experiencing. So when you tried to tell them, maybe you should train your employees to do this, this, and this, they go, that's just going to cost me money. Why would I want to do that? No understanding. So yeah, I like the way you said that. They should test everything out before they jump into it. I like that.
That's crazy.
It is.
Many years ago, when I was in the telco industry, I'd sold a business there, and I, you know, had a bit of money, and I was already traveling a lot in staying in hotels and stuff. And the first thing I wanted to do was, I'm like, I want to live in a hotel. Like, this is my dream. I'm going to live in a hotel. So I ended up buying a place in this kind of like a service department, and it's now part of a very major chain. And I lived there for 5 years, in this place, and I could order. There's like room service stuff I could order. It's part of it. It costs a lot of money, but I could do that. I could get, you know, the in-room. I could get someone to come clean my room if I wanted. I remember when I quote checked in, the agent said, "Oh no, the keys. Well, just go to the reception desk, and they've got your keys." And when I went to the reception, I said, "You know, Mark Ross Smith, I'm here to check in." And she's like, tapping. She's like, "I can't find you anywhere in the system." I said, "No, I'm checking permanently." So she's like, "Oh yeah." And she gets out the little swipe cards, and gets writes my room number on it, and she says, "Enjoy your stay." And I kept the little you know, booklet with the key cards that gave it. I thought that was kind of cute. But I think living in a hotel is a fantastic experience. I think everyone should do it, because you really get to see what happens in a way that you don't see from any other angle.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just real quick side. I've worked a lot of tours on cruise ships. And because I was working as a tour manager, I wasn't considered a guest, but I wasn't considered an employee. I was somewhere in the middle, but I had access to both. I had access to what the guests had access to and what the staff had access to. And that situation, the average guest who travels a lot on cruise ships might see it one way, but have no idea there's an other city on that ship that they never see. And it's mind-boggling once you get into it. So yeah, it's interesting. You have to appreciate, you have to take advantage of what everybody's doing, or you don't understand. You have to see it as an owner. It's imperative. Now, you mentioned VIP experiences. What did you mean by that? You mentioned personalization experiences.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting space because people with money want things they can't buy, right? And this, we'll put this in the VIP category. I mean, personally, I've had a bunch of these experiences, and they make for great stories. That's the first thing. And then people go tell their friends, and they tell their friends, and then they go fly the airline or stay at that. There's kind of this quasi branding element to it. I'll give you a couple of stories, and
Yeah,
you'll see where this goes. I'll give you two. So recently, I was flying with a pretty big Middle Eastern airline, and I hadn't flown them for about 10 years. And I walk into the airport, and I'm walking over to the check-in counter, and I'm about 5-10 meters away from the ropes, business class this way, first class. I'm still a fair way from there. And this lady from the airline comes running up to me, and she's like, "Are you Mr. Ross Smith?" And I say, "Yeah, yes." She goes, "I've been expecting you." And she goes, "Let me take your bags. I come check you in." She takes me, she whisks me over to the first class check-in, and she says, "It's so good to have you back again." I'm already blown away, and this is the first 20 seconds, right? And then from there, she's like, "I'll escort you through the immigration. I'll take you to the lounge," and as she sort of drops me at the lounge, she says, "So, would you like to be first or last aboard the aircraft today?" I said, "Oh, I want to be first. Let's do it." And she's like, "Okay." Anyway, so boarding's about to start. She comes and gets me. She's boarding starting in 5 minutes. Let's go. And she brings me right through the crowd of 300 other people waiting at the gates and children and all before the priority boarding. There's me that's sort of very fit and able to do my own thing. And here I am. Let's get this guy on board. And then on board, I just wanted to sleep on that flight. And the crew were adamant. They kept trying to feed me. And then just try, "Mister, can I just get you something?" I'm like, "No, no." Anyway, to the end of the fight, I gave up. I thought, just something really light. And they're like, "How about some fruit?" I said, "Okay." They come back with this fruit platter, this big sort of plate, and they'd written in chocolate, welcome back. And exactly. And I thought, wow, this was clearly set up because this is really nice. And then the manager comes over and says, "It's so good to have you back. You haven't flown with us in so long. We really value your loyalty." Not really loyal if I haven't flown for 10 years, am I? And, I mean, how do you buy that as a customer? I've flown enough to know that this is not normal, right? And realistically, for the airline to do all this stuff, it doesn't really cost them that much. They can't really roll that out for 400 people on every flight, 500 departures a day type deal. But every so often, for maybe the right people, the right occasion, the right moment, it makes sense to kind of roll out the red carpet in a way where they make for great stories, and that they think like you can't buy that. Well, I don't think you can buy it, right? And so I think that sort of built this emotional connection that I now have. That, I mean, I'm telling the story with you today, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, I got off the plane. I call my wife and I say, "Hey, you wouldn't believe what happened," and then tell my friend, and then I got my LinkedIn. You see a big damn post and many likes about that as well. The airline actually got a good benefit out of this thing that realistically didn't cost them that much. And I think these type of experiences really resonate with people because in my mind, everyone needs a good airline story or a good hotel story. They need something good like this to tell their friends, something they hold on to for 10 years, which I have, and tell people. I'll share another example from the other side of this. Okay. When I worked at Malaysia Airlines, I was running their loyalty program, and the office was at the airport, which is about an hour away from town, right? And so every day I used to go from the office through the airport to the train and take the train home because it's the fastest, easiest way to get back here.
Mm-hmm.
And, walking through the airport, I've got my VIP back, go anywhere, all access type thing. And I'm a bit of an airline geek, and, I like these money can't buy type experiences. I'm thinking, like, how can I start doing stuff like this? This could be fun, right? And so the one week I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I just, gave a gift to some of our top passengers when they're flying? Fills my time. I've got to walk through the airport anyway, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. I went and bought for a whole week. I went and bought bunches of got over chocolates. They're not cheap. And this is my own money. It's not the company's money. This is my money
Right.
in my own time. This is like 8 p.m. kind of thing. And I went around and found a bunch of silver, gold, platinum type members that were random people I didn't know. And I just give them this really big golden bag with all the chocolates. And I'm obviously dressed up with stuff. And thank you for flying the airline. Thank you for your loyalty. And this is really a small thing. It's pretty cheap to do, pretty easy to do. There was one gentleman I'd found. He was a gold member, and he was in the lounge. And I said exactly that. So I'm with the airline. This is for you. Thank you for your loyalty. And he just broke down. It's, getting really teary, and he's like, "Thank you so much." I'm like, oh, "What do I do here?" There's no cameras or anything. This is not like some YouTube thing we're creating. This is just me having fun, right? Or what I thought was having fun. And so this is really amazing. It's the first time I'm ever meeting someone from the airline, right? Like not a cabin crew, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm flying to India right now. I'm a doctor. I'm part of the Doctors Without Borders program. I'm going there for a month to do whatever it was to do this thing. I've been really loyal to your airline for the last X years, even through the Malaysia Airlines had their year or so of incidents there. He's like, I was loyal to the airline through those moments. I knew this is the place for me, and this, at that point, he's flying with a purpose. He's going out to do something pretty good for the world and helping people. And he's being loyal. And in his mind, he's been super loyal, right? And he's been earning the points. He gets the lounge. He gets all this stuff anyway. But he's never had someone saying, "Thank you for your loyalty," a real person, right? And the chocolate's a bit of a sweetener. Okay? So,
nice.
I joke. So at that moment, I thought, oh, this is really special. That's now hopefully a story that he goes and shares with people about how the airline actually cared about his loyalty, cared about him that day. And there was a bunch of other stories that same week when I was giving out chocolate just like that. And a bunch of these people went on to be very loyal to the airline. They keep flying the airline because they got something they just couldn't buy. They got that special moment. They got that real recognition, that like what we'll call real loyalty, not the business of loyalty, the transactional side. This is the highly emotional, highly charged side that really
this is genuine.
Sort of exactly. It's embedded into your subconscious. You're like, I'm. It's like a feeling of love kind of thing for the brand. I'm really connected with this brand now. And next time they go to book another ticket, guess which airline they're going to fly?
Yeah, exactly. And that wasn't expensive. Well, maybe a little bit out of your pocket, but in general, no, I don't like that. Hotels could easily do that. Smaller properties could easily do that. Now, I've seen that you have made a lot of predictions in the past, and you've been fairly accurate. Now, the last couple of years have been really messed up. Do you have any predictions for the future in the airline loyalty?
You're putting me on the spot now. So you can actually read the prediction I made for the last few years online, and you can rate me on them. So it's all very public. There was one last year, 3 months ago now. There was one that didn't come true that I really wish did, and that's I thought a loyalty program would start an airline, as in the other way, just because of the economics and how it all works.
The other way around.
Yeah, I thought it'd be the other way around. There is someone from a very big airline that told me that it almost happened. It was very close to happening. So I was so close. So that was the big one that I was hoping would sort of transpire that didn't quite, but it'll have one day. Anyway, I think there's two themes in the coming year or so. One is obviously we're in 23 now. There's something coming in the next 2 to 3 months, which I'm calling the status cliff, which is, airlines and hotels have extended elite status for free for the last 2 or 3 years. Everyone had status because they couldn't travel. They couldn't fly enough to, keep that status. So they've been giving it for free. Those free extensions are ending. right? And
Right.
people, they're going to be downgraded soon, right? Just because, you know, they're not at that level they used to be in 2019, right? Globally, there's somewhere between 8 and 10 million people that are going to be downgraded in elite status across airline and hotels combined. And so part of my prediction here is I think there's going to be some winners and losers in this game. And what that means is I think there is a ridiculously huge opportunity. I think hotels, especially smaller brands here, to acquire customers. And when I say acquire, go out and offer a lifeline to these 10 million people that are about to lose status with their airline hotel, right? Because when they lose status, right, if you've got a gold card that airline hotel takes away from you, even though it's your fault for not flying them, in your
Yeah.
mind, you're like, well, screw then. I'm just going to go to somewhere else, right? We did a survey. We put on statuscliff.com. You can check it out now. It's still there. We asked people if your airline hotel downgrades you, what will you do? Will you keep flying? Will you fly less? Will you what will you do? 86% of people said that they would move some or all of their that's a
Whoa.
key future business to a different brand if they're downgraded, right? And these are people that are due to be downgraded anyway because they're not at the level they used to be, right? But the key is future business, right? So these are people that are already trained. They know how the loyalty program works. They know how the airline stuff works. They know how it all operates. And they used to be a great customer. And I'm sure they will again one day, right? And so I think there's an opportunity to give a lifeline to these people specifically, because if you can win their hearts today, you're going to get their business tomorrow. Whereas the big brands have to downgrade them, but they're saying we don't want you now, but we want you in the future. But how do they get them back in the future when this other brand over here has already given them a lifeline, right? So I think there's a pretty big opportunity there for especially low cost airlines and brands with a smaller footprint, something that's a bit out of the norm. I think there's a big opportunity there. I think obviously going to 2024, I think we're going to see other things like ancillary and loyalty teams merging. And I think that would be because airlines, hotels, same in this regard, that I think we're going to start seeing more holistic sort of revenue management. And that is, what's the lifetime value of this customer and how do we increase that? And that may not be trying to get $1,000 a night out of them when they stay. It might be charging just a flat rate for every single person every night, and the revenue manager is gone, right? And then trying to make monies other ways, right? So trying to upsell things or improve sort of an a la carte type experience. I think we're going to see more of that. Sort of a, choose your own adventure, choose the level of service you want, but not nickel and diming people. More like how do you add value to your stay? So I think we'll see more of that.
Okay. I hope.
You do?
I'd love to see it go that way. Tell me a little bit more about your business. I'm curious to find out exactly what it is you do.
So we run statusmatch.com is our main brand. So we work with major hotel and airline brands to help them bring them new high value customers. So we talked about earlier about high value customers. These are people with silver, gold, platinum, diamond, this kind of status. These people spend more. They spend more frequently. They spend what we'll call the right type of money, right? So they're booking generally closer into where they're going to stay or fly. They're generally in a premium room or they're in business or first class. They're just your best customers for not all, but most brands. They're really good customers. And these people are not driven by price. They're driven by status. They're driven by the gold card. The gold card is out front dictating where they're going to go next. And so we sit between the brand and the customer in this. And we go out to the market and, hey, you're a gold member with this airline. We'll give you gold status with this other airline that we work with.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. We'll give you gold status. Now shift some business to them, right? And what this means for the brand or the airline in this case is the airline's getting a new customer that they more than likely would never, ever get a cent from without giving out that what's called a status match. They're matching the status level from one airline to another. Yeah. So effectively, it drives incremental revenue from the right type of audience that these airlines and hotels want to acquire. So the idea of status matching is not new. It's been around for about 35 years. We've just built a system around it. We've automated it, made it super easy to onboard new customers. We work with a heap of sort of big brand airlines. Some of our bigger clients we work with are like Emirates, Lufthansa, these kind of guys. And for our partners, we've made more than $700 million in customer value in the last 2 years or so. So it's a very effective, very powerful tool to drive customer acquisition. It's also the cheapest. Most brands we work with, there's no cost to work with us. So super cheap, obviously, being free. In fact, there's a revenue share a lot of the time as well. In a lot of cases, we actually pay the brand to work with us.
Wow,
So
nice.
Get paid to get new customers. How does that work? Wow.
That's nice.
Hence, we're pretty popular in that regard. So, but it works out really well. We've flipped the business model where it works really well for the traveler, really well for the brand. And obviously we sit in the middle of all that and make it work. We're seeing a lot of interest from travelers wanting to explore and try new brands as well, especially as people start to really get on the road and travel again. They're like, well, I'm used to trying my airline over here. I know how they work. It's expensive to fly right now. I'm open to options. I want to try this other one over here, but I don't want to lose the perks that I had at my other airline. I want the priority check-in. I want the free bags. I want the lounge access. I want the free seat selection. I'm used to that. So I don't want to start at the bottom. So how do I fast track my way straight up to gold? And that's where we come in.
Okay. And that's statusmatch.com.
Yep.
Nice.
Statusmatch.com.
Okay. Is there anything I might have missed asking you that would be of interest to our listeners? If you're still scratching your head about how to nail this whole vacation rental game, I've got something special for you. Dive deeper into our free PDF, Unpacking Your Property, the top 25 secrets to successful vacation rental properties. Trust me, it's the cheat sheet you didn't know you needed.
I covered a lot today. I think it's been a pretty good conversation. Yeah. I think ultimately loyalty programs should be, they're designed to do one thing, and that's make more money and drive incremental business for the brand. Basically, it's got to make more money than it costs to operate. Yeah. You get that right. The rest kind of looks after itself. And what that loyalty program looks like, it might be some sort of retention program, it might be about selling points to banks like airlines and some hotels do. It might be about revenue protection. It might to stop customers going somewhere else. It might be like a fee-based membership program, like an IHG Ambassador Club or a Core Plus, something like that. Ultimately, all this loyalty stuff all boils down to one single thing, and that is really just focusing on the customer, focus on the guest, because that's who it's designed for, and they're the people that keep the industry afloat. They're the people that pay our bills. Focusing on them and their needs, what they want, is what we should all be aspiring to achieve here.
Oh, excellent. This has been great and lots of food for thought. Mark, I want to thank you for being so generous with your time. I know probably went over a little bit. Where can people find more about your work and follow you?
Yeah, sure. Add me to LinkedIn. Mark's pretty active on there. I add everyone, so hit me up there. You can check out traveldatadaily.com, or if you're interested in a status match, check out statusmatch.com.
Oh, Mark, thanks a lot. This has been excellent. Really appreciate the time.
Thanks, Jerry. It's been great to chat.
All right. Take care. That was Mark Ross Smith, CEO and co-founder of Loyalty Data Co., and I really appreciate him taking the time to chat. I would encourage you to check him out on LinkedIn at Mark Ross Smith, at Travel Data Daily, and on statusmatch.com. Do you currently have or are considering a loyalty program for your property? Let me know in the comments. In our next episode, I will talk with Andy De Silva, the CEO of Hotel Emporium Inc. And that wraps up another episode of Vacation Rental Resolutions. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell and share with your friends. Remember, every successful host starts with a dream, just like yours. Stay inspired, keep learning, and make your vacation rentals shine brighter than ever. Join us again next week for more gems. Until then, happy hosting.